This is Dave Chang.
And Chris Ying.
We are the hosts of Recipe Club. You may have listened to it before, but we are now back on the air, new and improved, with the same host that lose every week. I still don't know what the rules are because they've changed as well. Chris, can you give a quick rundown?
Every week, we debate the best way to cook the things you want to eat. We take a listener submitted recipe, and we all cook it with our friends, Priya Krishna, Rachel Kong, Brian Ford, and John DeBerry. And then we talk about what went right and what went wrong.
No, I actually really don't want to do this podcast. And they are hardly our friends. They are enemies. They are enemies.
It's Dave's civil disobedience. If you want to see Dave Chang in an act of civil disobedience, tune into Recipe Club, where he will not follow the recipe.
I'm contractually obligated to make this podcast.
But I'm here to have a good time. So listen to Recipe Club every week on the Ringer Podcast Network.
This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com. This episode is brought to you by Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. All right, it's official. I think I've discovered the ultimate coupling of all time. Like any good relationship, they really balance each other out. One is super sweet, and the other, well, they can be a little nutty sometimes. It is, of course, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, the perfect combination of peanut butter and chocolate. So perfect, some would call it true love. Find Reese's now at a store near you. Welcome to Bachelor Party, everybody. I'm Juliette Littman. I am joined today by my colleague, Jody Walker. Jody, hello. How are you?
Oh, Juliette, I'm doing great. Best time of the year, Bachelorette bio release season. We got 2 Justins, 2 Jordans, 2 Bachelorettes. It all makes sense.
It's name trends are so funny. Someone should do a study about how the Bachelor and Bachelorette, capture all the name trends.
Nearly half of the names this season start with J, and something about that seems cursed. And I say that as a J name to a J name, but something's up. There's something to that trend, and I don't feel good about it.
We're going to talk about these dudes as per usual, but first, we need to start by saying there's 32 of them, which is a standard number. The Bachelor usually has now over 30, but we have 2 Bachelorettes. We, of course, have Rachel and Gabby. Trying to do my best Jesse Palmer there with my voice cracking a little because I'm tired. Rachel and Gabby. Jody, is this enough men to make it through a season to give both of our gals? I won't call them our queens. I'm not into that. But both of our sovereigns the experience they deserve.
I am into sovereigns. They're just our sovereign bachelorettes. That's what they are. No, it's not enough, guys. It logistically doesn't make any sense. I wrote a piece that you can read on theringer.com that goes pretty in depth on some of these bachelorette bios and on some of what we can maybe expect from this season, but they're being very secretive about how this method is going to go with these 2 bachelorettes. And I ended up having to do quite a bit of math in this article because I was just trying to figure out how this could possibly go down. There are 32 dudes. If both of our bachelorettes, our sovereign bachelorettes, take 4 guys to hometowns, that's a quarter of our original men. That's
a really good point.
Too many men to be making it to finals. These aren't all finals kinds of guys. And the Bachelorette and the Bachelor, it's just a numbers game. You sit me in a room with 30 guys, I'm probably going to be able to fall in love with someone. But you sit me in a room with 16 guys, maybe not.
That's a really interesting proposition. How many guys do you need in a room to at least trick yourself into falling in love with all the sensory deprivation and news deprivation and
comfort that you're used to in real life to like not need to rely on one of these guys to provide that. That's like a really interesting note. I think for me, the number, is it 30? I don't know. I think it's probably somewhere, it's got to be a minimum of 25 for me.
Well, you know what you always hear from like the past bachelors and bachelorettes is like they know almost immediately that there are a handful of people they're interested in, but you have to have the buffer people. Like it's all about coincidence and fate. So to be able to like find those 4, you've got to have 30.
Here's some of my concerns. You make a great point about like, are really 8 of these guys going to hometowns? Like that would be insane. But my other concern is that usually night 1, you weed out like a good amount of filler, right? There's the villain filler, but that's totally separate. They'll sort of like just completely boring, probably normal guys would go home and you would get down from like 32 to 26 or like 25 or something like that. But they can't possibly afford to eliminate that many on night 1. So are these all of the guys that will be making it? Is it possible to be other people introduced that will never be around? I mean, I don't think so. I think what is possible is a Matt James situation where Matt had more women join a few weeks in, because this is not enough men. I think your point about 8 men going to hometowns makes it definitive that this is not enough, especially because like, you know, the twins aren't going far. Like twins are cast to go to paradise into like for a gag, right? So
okay, but just imagine if they each chose a twin. What a world it would be.
I think these women choosing brothers would kind of be like when Dina and Caroline Manzo were married to brothers on the Real Housewives of New Jersey.
A perfect proposition that did not at all end disastrously.
Isn't that what we're looking for here? So
yeah, and aren't those twins from Jersey? They're from the area.
That is what it was, right? Or Dina and Caroline both married into the Manzo family. Yeah, because they both have the last name.
Yeah, they married brothers.
They're traditional. Yeah.
Right.
And then Jacqueline Lorita, when she started dating her Manzo, was he in the family too? Oh no, that was Dina's brother. Sorry. Jacqueline started dating Dina's brother. That's what happened. Sorry.
Well, let's see if these twins have some cousins and get them in the mix.
I just knew there was another last name involved. That's what reminded me.
You're so right, though, because I also had that idea. I mean, you usually weed out like 6, 7, 8 guys sometimes in the beginning if there are a bunch. And then you have to keep thinking about when they make an elimination. My mind just always goes then to cutting that large group in half because they won't tell us how this infrastructure is going to work. But I think we have to assume that at some point the group is going to be split, hopefully sooner rather than later, because I mentioned to you off air, I like that we don't know anything going in. It makes it interesting. Like, I'm excited for Jesse Palmer to give me that information directly in the premiere. But it also is a little shady and a little shifty because I think there's just like no chance that this does not somehow end in like some sort of heartbreak. Yeah.
Right.
Maybe not end in tears, but have some like middle ground tears because at some point, some of these men are going to have to make a choice, I think.
Yeah. And so the main comp is Britt and Kaitlyn's season. Of course, Kaitlyn Bristowe went on to be arguably the greatest bachelorette of all time. I think she's undeniably top 2. It's her.
No arguments here.
Yeah. It's her. I mean, I prefer Kaitlyn as a human. I probably prefer Hannah's season, but I love them both. Anyway, in that situation, the guys had to choose. So they want to date Kaitlyn or Britt. And they pretty resoundingly chose Kaitlyn. And then, she had a legendary cast and the rest is history.
As I recall, it was not incredibly resoundingly. So not only did Britt get her feelings hurt by not getting chosen, then Kaitlyn had to date a bunch of dudes who had not chosen her. It was bad for everyone involved.
I think they disliked each other from the beginning. I interviewed them, or maybe by the end, I don't know, but I interviewed them before that season began when I worked at Grantland. They came to our studio. I don't like meeting a lot of these people because I would say I'm like average human size, and the people who go the people who go on the show are like so tiny. And it's it honestly just makes me uncomfortable. But anyway, they were lovely. They were very nice. That's more a comment about me than it is about them. And they didn't really seem to like each other. And Britt talked a lot. And I remember Kaitlyn kind of being annoyed. it was like a really different version of Caitlyn who did press that day. So I think they didn't like each other. I wonder if Gabby and Rachel still like each other. You know, I haven't seen a ton of social media from either about the other. So I'm just kind of curious, like the state of their relationship.
Well, I hope it's good because the marketing on this season is literally calling them best friends. It's like them in a car, Thelma and Louise, hands in the air, besties. And it's like, they were so sweet to each other. And I think that was like the incredible redeeming thing of like absolutely. That awful situation where they got like called to an all hands meeting and broken up with twice, that like they were so kind to each other, but I don't think they were ever best friends, but they're really trying to sell home this point that this is like them being there. The whole reason that 2 bachelorettes have been cast is so that they can support each other, but it's also so that they can date the same men.
Yeah, of course.
Like those two things can't go hand in hand.
So I have one counterpoint to that, which is, did you watch F-Boy Island?
I did not.
Okay. F-Boy Island was a good time. I recommend it. Nikki Glaser is very fun on it. And it's like, I can barely remember the names of the people on the show. I can really only remember this one guy, Casey, because I thought he was hot. But like everyone else. Is it going
to get another season?
I think it is.
Liked it.
Yeah, it was good. So it was 3 women and 1 batch of men. And they had to choose like who they were into and whatnot. To be honest, I don't remember all the details of the show because I'm quasi brain dead this morning, still making my way through a cold brew. But the point is, the women very quickly, it was not said, but it was very quickly clear that the women who were like kind of like in cahoots and like sharing notes on the guys and kind of like each other's support system with Nikki Glaser sort of were like, once one of them started dating someone, they basically didn't like cross streams unless there was like permission given, essentially. So if Gabby and Rachel are really the best friends that we are told they are, I think that is what will happen. However, that definitely is boring for the show because F-Boy Island had like, you know, this ridiculous conceit of like, are they an F-boy or are they a nice guy? And like trying to figure it out and whatnot. This is more, as far as I know, typical Bachelorette style. So can it be a good show without pitting the 2 women against each other? I hope so. And I do think F-Boy Island kind of figured it out, but I think there'll have to be some twists that we don't know about for it to happen.
Yeah. And I hope that you're right, that one of those twists is an additional batch of men coming in, because I just think they're going to need more boyfriends.
Yeah, absolutely. I also just want to say regarding Rachel and Gabby's like alleged best friendship, I always think it's really weird when people go on the show and then like seem like they have no friends ever before, like kind of like Katherine Heigl and Knocked Up, which you can hear more about on the rewatchables. But I will say Rachel and Gabby, they remind me of Camp Friends, which is like they have this really special experience that like they can't explain to anyone else. They went through it together, heightened by the fact that, to your point, they had 2 all-hand meetings where they were broken up with multiple times.
Yeah, well, depending on the camp you go to, I mean, they have like a trauma bond. Like,
yes, totally.
They went through something really bad together.
They're like the girls from Yellow Jackets, but the ones who actually like each other, you know?
Yes.
And so I think that there is something special to that experience. And it probably is amazing to share this with someone who totally gets it, because I'm sure it's incomprehensible to explain. So I'm like happy for each other that they have that. But I also am always like, are they best friends? I probably not, because they weren't born like 5 minutes ago or like released from solitary confinement 10 minutes ago.
I mean, I think that they're like, you know, the kinds of best friends that you have when you really bond with someone for 6 months.
Yeah.
And I fully trust that they can get through this without hating each other, turning on each other, feeling pitted against each other, because like The Bachelor seems so committed to that idea this time, because they know that what they did the last time in season 11 was with Caitlyn and Britt was like not okay. But to me, it just feels like there's no chance that at some point the guys are going to have to make a decision between the 2, like a hard and firm decision. And I feel like someone is going to get hurt by that. But they're going to move on. They always do. If Desiree could move on from Brooks breaking her heart on that dock and marry Chris, then anybody can move on from any one of these dummies.
What about Ali Fedotowsky? She was ready to run off with Frank, and they, you know, she's happily married, or she's married at least. So, you know, right. People move on.
I just always think of like the fact that Desiree moved on in like 2 days.
So did Ali. Ali Allie was weeping. She was so...
But she didn't... Allie didn't marry her choice.
That's true.
Did
Correct.
she? Right.
No.
But
No,
yes,
she
she did move on, just not in such a way that she could ultimately commit her entire life to her final choice.
Oh my goodness. All right. On that note, let's talk about these dudes. There's a lot of them. As always, we're going to go alphabetical.
And yet not enough, but a lot.
There's a lot and not enough. We're going to go alphabetical. I have done very light Googling on them because I don't want any spoilers. The twins.
Juliet, can I quickly tell you the research that I did? And I wonder if you also did it. I watched the Jesse Palmer live TikTok. Did you even know they did that?
I did know they did it. I didn't watch it. Is it actually on TikTok?
Well, it was on TikTok live, so I didn't know they were doing it at the time. So then I had to find a YouTube of it. And so the way that I watched the Jesse Palmer TikTok live was by watching another guy watch it live on YouTube, which was a pretty hellish experience because it was very boring. But two really funny things happened. One is like 20 seconds into the live TikTok stream, and it is, you can tell it's live. It's very live. Jesse Palmer accidentally calls them dueling bachelorettes. And then he's like, no, I mean, not dueling. They're not dueling. And then
I don't know. Like, a wordsmith would have been like dueling, like with an E or with an A, not fighting each other, but like a double barrel, dual bachelorette.
Jesse Palmer is not that wordsmith. He did a fine, and it's a thankless job to just like read these bios and try to offer more as we're about to do.
But to say, really selling us, Jody.
We can provide more information. Jesse has to like try and provide more information that doesn't give anything away, and yet he manages to give everything away because you can tell the ones he has nothing to say about and the ones that he has everything to say about. He calls all of the tall guys like he's such a football guy. He calls them like just an all-American guy. And like, he keeps saying a guy's guy. It's all very coded. Okay. But the funniest thing that happens is like 2 minutes into the live feed, maybe 1 minute, he accidentally hits some button and lets someone who's in the audience into the TikTok feed.
Oh my God. That's so funny.
It seemed genuinely like there's no way Jesse Palmer is that good of an actor. Like, I think it really happened. And it was this like, you can only see like blue LED lights. It's like incredibly lucky that you couldn't really see anything. And you can just hear this kid's voice. He sounds like a 15-year-old teenage boy. And he's like, hey man, I love your content, bro. And I was like, oh, this guy has no idea who this is.
Oh my God, that's
it was worth the disturbing hour of presentation for that moment. And then someone off screen manages to get the kid out of the live TikTok presentation being watched by 100,000 people.
Oh my God. I feel like I am in a horror movie where the villain or like the killer, I don't really watch horror movies because I get too scared. Whatever it is TikTok. It's like TikTok is taking over. It's like this miasma in the air and it's coming for all of us. And like the more you try to resist it, the more it's coming for you. And the fact that they shifted this from Facebook Live to TikTok Live is so telling.
It's such an absurd misunderstanding of their audience, though. Like no one, like people used to talk about those Facebook Lives, I think. And no one was talking about this.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think it's also a misunderstanding of the type of Bachelor content that's on TikTok. And like, shout out to Callie Curry, who sends me TikToks all the time.
Our curator of TikTok content. I genuinely like wouldn't watch TikToks if they were not sent to me by like Callie and the like.
Yeah, exactly. And she like, there's like good like sleuthing and news on TikTok, but no one's like, as far as I know, I mean, I'm old. No one's like, Jesse Palmer, meet me on TikTok. See you there. I don't know. It's just like,
except for that 15-year-old kid who was ready for his close-up.
All right. We're already like, we've already taken too long to get into this. So we're going to go starting right now with our man, Alec, 27, wedding photographer. Love it. From Houston, Texas. I just want to say right now that they don't have Alec be the wedding photographer instead of like Franco DeMoncadatino, whatever that guy's name is. I'm going to be pissed.
That's a great idea because it says right here in his bio that he's charismatic. He loves to be the center of attention. So like that seems like maybe he could have the personality to take over that role. I like this like cyclical effect of like Wells becoming the bartender, Alec becoming the photographer. I always wanted DeMar, do you remember him, to become something?
The spin instructor, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. He could become the resident spin instructor.
The bios this year more than ever make me wonder who wrote them, because this one I actually find to be quite like self-aware. Like I really enjoy that Alex says he loves to be the center of attention. Why lie? He loves to be the center of attention. That's a direct quote. So that's great. I do not like that it says, Alec, let us introduce you to two queens. I don't know. The use of the word queen has to go. I'm sorry.
It does. And like these women are fabulous. They're very well liked. They're like kind and funny. They have two very different personalities. It's just not like I'd be like, these are queens. Like, you know.
Also, we don't know yet. Let's make it a little bit harder to be a queen. Not everyone who identifies as a woman is a queen.
My least favorite thing, right? Exactly. I don't think of
Me
myself that way. Like maybe a princess. I don't know.
I'm just a woman. Just, you know, I'm a serf. Whatever. That's
like
fine.
A local, like a layman. Each one of these bios ends with this very weird, like narrative touch of whoever's writing it. It's been all about the person, and then all of a sudden it'll be like, and we totally agree, or sometimes it's in the first person. It's like when you're reading like a biography on a wedding website of a couple, and you think it's from the point of view of both of them, but then all of a sudden you realize it's just the bride talking. It's just like very weird and makes it feel very like separate.
I just had an idea that I will be pitching to ABC in the future. I'm not even joking.
Okay.
But as you were talking, wouldn't it be really fun if we got to interview these guys and write their bios for them? Like, we're a website, you're a writer.
Yeah,
like, we like scrutinize
course.
these things. Like, I'd be willing to do that for free. That would just be a fun experience.
I would not be willing to do it for free, but I would definitely be willing to do it. I'd like to put that on the internet right now, is that Juliet and I would like to be paid to, you're a master interviewer, I'm a writer, we can get this done. The thing is, like, these bios are pretty informative, but they are devoid of fun. These bios used to be fun. Like, they used to ask them questions like, what kitchen appliance would you be? And that's a stupid question, but sometimes I think that sort of thing actually gives you more information or more to latch onto than just like describing your own personality.
Yeah. I will be following up on this. More to come. Let's move on.
Okay.
Aven, 28, sales executive from San Diego. Aven is like the heir to the Thomas throne. And I say that with love. Thomas, the one who's engaged to Becca, not Thomas, the villain from Katie's season. I like Aven. The San Diego thing is giving me Thomas vibes.
Thomas is from San Diego?
He lives there, yeah.
Okay. Because I was just getting kind of like Ivan meets Andrew vibes. He just seems very sweet. And I mean, like,
I like
original
him, yeah.
Ivan, not Bachelor in Paradise Ivan exactly. But, and like Andrew, he's just so cute. He's so cute.
Andrew's bio is one of the most vacuous. Like, there's literally no information in it. Like, none. Like, I can tell you.
This guy's.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Aven.
Yeah.
Did I call him Ivan? I meant Aven.
You called him Andrew because I really got inside your head.
But he did have one bullet point that I really enjoyed, which is Aven is a Yahtzee champ and describes his gameplay as intense. I love a guy who takes board games seriously. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm not a big Yahtzee player, but like, what could be the intense part? The way he throws the dice? Don't you shake them in a cup?
Yeah, his competitive edge. I don't know. But I like it. Me too. Let's move on. Brandon, 23, bartender from Carlsbad, California. I don't have a lot to say about Brandon either. He's terrified of slugs.
That's
cool.
crazy. I have a ton to say about Brandon.
All right, go. Let's hear it, Jody.
He's 23, Juliet. I just cannot believe this information. He does not look 23.
I always think someone's lying about their age. So he looks older is what you're saying.
He looks old. He looks great. And that's the issue. I'm very attracted to him. And I don't feel good about that. Like, that makes me feel like Leonardo DiCaprio. It is like not okay for him to be 23. He's got this cute mustache, this like really like handsome corduroy suede overcoat thing. Like, he looks great. He looks really suave. And I've never seen a 23-year-old look this suave.
Do you like his outfit? It reminds me of something Brandon Walsh would say, another great Brandon, or would wear, another great Brandon. And so for that reason, I'm into it. His bio ends with, ladies, the ball is in your court. Brandon loves Disneyland and he goes every year on his birthday. Every fucking time we got a Disney adult. And listen, I understand.
But Juliet, I wrote about this in my article. If you do the simple math, let's say he hasn't been during COVID, he could like conceivably have not been since he was 19, in which case he was a Disney adolescent.
That's a great point.
I can't stop crunching the numbers on how young he is. I'm like, he was in high school 5 years ago. He was at Disneyland 3 years ago when he was a teenager.
That's so funny. That's how I used to feel about Chandler Parsons when I first became a Chandler Parsons super fan. I was like, it's okay. He's almost 25. I'd be like, it's fine.
I'm doing the opposite. I'm like, get this out of your head, Jody. And these, Rachel, I think, is like 25-ish, maybe 26 now, but Gabby's like 30 or 31. 23 is young. But I guess some of these people just aren't for both of them.
Which brings us to Chris, who is 30. However, his job is mentality coach. I mean, would you rather meet with Chris, the mentality coach, or the life coach who is not a life coach on Selling Sunset season 3? I mean,
or would you rather meet with the upcoming life coach also in this cast a little later on? And my answer is that life coach that we'll get to later, because not only is Chris a mentality coach, his bio is full of red flags. He's so into his career, and he says, Chris is looking for someone ambitious, compassionate, and secure. She should support Chris as he chases his goals, but also work hard to accomplish the goals she has for herself. No word on if he'll help her support her goals. This reminds me. Oh, go ahead.
This reminds me of like dating a personal trainer who's like obsessed with like what your fitness plan is and like what your diet is. And it's like, listen, dude, do it for you, or like, let's do it together, but not because you're obsessed with what I'm doing. Like, I hate that kind of thing.
But then it's like, if that personal trainer then also wanted you to be obsessed with his diet and his exercise regimen, Chris says something to make these people right. He needs a woman who will love him for the hard worker he is and not complain as the two of them work together toward greatness. I find that to be the biggest red flag in these bios in years. To say that you need a woman to not complain is bullshit.
I think even worse is Chris has written 2 books and he says he is his own favorite author. I mean, fuck no.
It is like hit after hit.
He reminds me
as a writer, you should hate your own writing, okay? That's just the bottom line, and everybody knows it. You should feel bad about yourself all the time.
He reminds me of Ben Stiller in Heavyweights, aka awful.
It's always the mentality coaches. Like, it's always the people who say they're empaths.
Jody, stop.
What?
It's always the mentality coach. There are no other mentality coaches. That's not a job. That's not a thing. So,
I mean, the general sort of area of mentality coach. But you're right. Chris did make up this job title. He's also wearing all like dry fit clothing. And I don't know how that relates to being a mentality coach, but it's just something to note because I think most of these guys are really well dressed. And I mean, he is well dressed for leisure, but it's like he's wearing all dry fit.
He is literally a trainer and decided to give it a different name. Have fun, Chris. See, I won't be seeing you at the gym. Next, Colin, 36, sales director from Chicago. Colin is the personification of an online dating app because he says travel is his thing and he hopes to find someone who wants to experience everything the world has to offer right alongside him. Okay, that's literally like what you are not supposed to say in your bio for dating. So, Colin, give us more.
Tell me what your favorite kitchen appliance is. This tells me nothing about you. Everybody likes to travel.
Here's some more generic information from Colin. Love to visit the International Space Station. Cool. Like probably like 70% of men who are currently alive would like to go to space. People who chew with their mouth open make Colin cringe. Okay, yes, we all agree that's gross. Colin was a founding member of his high school breakdancing club. I don't believe that. I just don't believe it.
I do believe it, but I find like being 36 and drawing back to high school for an interesting fact, like a fundamentally upsetting thing.
It's like referencing like a paper you wrote in college, being like, yeah, I wrote about this in college one time. And when you're outside of college.
It's no good. What happened recently? Maybe found another breakdancing club, Colin.
Seriously. Can we move on? That's it. That's all we got on Colin. Next, a personal fave of mine, Eric, 29, real estate analyst from Bedminster, New Jersey. And if you're not looking at his picture, hurry to a computer and look him up. Eric is extremely
You're
handsome.
going to want the wide display experience. Power up the monitor. Eric is hot.
So hot. I would say he's the hottest of this bunch. I definitely have a crush on him. I'm concerned that like Hot Kyle, who no one knows who that is, but there was a guy on, I think it was Katie's season, maybe. Yeah, it was Katie's season. Named Kyle, who was really hot. He got voted out right away. But I just think that Eric has some great facts. Number one being he has no interest in going to an escape room. Yes, Eric. Thank you. I don't either.
Okay, this hits me on two fronts. Same, I have no interest in escape rooms. Like every time I pass a building that has been turned into an escape room factory, it makes me very upset. But the other side of that is I wondered at all if Eric is very good at escape rooms. And so he said this to try and trick the Bachelor producers into giving him an escape room date, which would also be an excellent maneuver. I'm going to find any way to like love everything Eric does. Juliette, you know who else is really into Eric? Jesse Palmer. He could not shut up about this guy. He called him a handsome, tall drink of water. He said he had a strong, quiet confidence about him.
Yeah.
He actually mentioned a number of these guys being kind of like quiet, which I thought was interesting. He said he's 6'4" or maybe 6'5".
Oof. Eric is going to be in the Gabby pool. I can tell. He likes taller women. Gabby's very tall.
Yeah. I also had him earmarked for Gabby. Okay, wait. One final thing that Jesse Palmer said that may give you pause. He said, you can't tell from this photo, but dude's got an amazing mullet.
Oh, no.
And I don't know if he was kidding.
Oh, no. I don't know if Jesse Palmer jokes about mullets. That is alarming. But counterpoint, Eric dreams of seeing the Northern Lights in person. That is generic, yes. However,
solid counterpoint, Juliette. Cannot argue with that.
That evokes one of my favorite episodes of Dawson's Creek, which is in season 3. It's To Green with Love, which is, you know the episode I'm talking about?
I'm trying to think. It has to do with Northern Lights? The Northern Lights?
There's also an episode called Northern Lights that comes next, comes right before. But there is this arc where Joey is dating this guy from college and Pacey is really upset during their courtship. And I believe the episode before is called Northern Lights, and she's trying to see the Northern Lights with the guy. Pacey's really upset. It's a great string of episodes. So thank you for evoking Pacey for me, Eric. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've recently watched a Pacey and a Joey compilation that features her coming back from that college and them sharing the truck ride home, etc. But I did not remember the Northern Lights episode.
That episode's called A Cinderella Story.
Wow. This encyclopedic knowledge.
And then it goes to Escape to Witch Island. It's just great stuff, man. It's really good. Sorry, the other way around. But anyway, let's move on. I love season 3 of Dawson's Creek. Next, I probably will love Eric. Ethan, 27, advertising executive from New York, no longer interested in staying out to 4 a.m. That's a great thing to hear. Big believer in signs, and thanks to a few well-timed coincidences, feel like this is exactly where he's meant to be. Don't love that, but okay. Ethan,
I just wonder what they are. Like,
I know.
What are the signs?
I know.
This stuff doesn't like generally happen very serendipitously. It's like a producer slides into your DMs.
It's funny you say that, though. I was just thinking of the movie Serendipity. I'm like, did he just watch Serendipity? And he's like, I live in New York, but I'm looking for something else. I need some signs. He's also the king of Monopoly, according to Ethan. Great. Another board game man. His perfect breakfast is pancakes, hash browns, extra crispy. And the worst thing about Ethan, watching Entourage cheers him up.
Ethan is adorable. It's like win after win in this bio. And then that last bullet point is like, oh, you are a 27-year-old advertising executive who lives in New York City, who watches Entourage to cheer him up.
Oh, God.
Maybe once he starts coming home earlier, he'll find some new shows to binge.
That's a great point. Also, I'm like making fun of him for like wanting a rom-com, but like meanwhile, obviously I love rom-coms. Like who am I to judge?
Oh yeah. I like Ethan.
Okay. That's good. Hayden, 29, leisure executive. I don't know what that is, but I'd love to find out. From Tampa, Florida. And he has heavy grocery store Joe vibes physically, like heavy.
He has an incredible smile. He has those like Kyle Chandler squinty eyes that are like that I think that's like the eyes are grocery store Joe. But from Florida, imagine a grocery store Joe without that accent. Is that better or worse for you? For me, I think it's better.
I think a leisure executive from Florida is much worse than a grocery store owner from Illinois.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm interested in what a leisure executive is, but I have never been more interested in a job and getting myself connected to that job than grocery store Joe owning a grocery store. I love going to the grocery store. And it makes me so sad that he doesn't own it anymore.
I too love the grocery store, Jody. I really, really do. And you know, and also I went to college in Illinois, and there were some great ones there. So like he's living in a great place for it. I love a good Jewel Osco. Hayden has a really alarming bullet point that I think almost seals the fact that he went on this show to go on Paradise, not to marry Gabby or Rachel. Hayden loves country music and would thrive at Stagecoach. That I think that though. I agree with you that who was really bad? Brandon? Oh no, Chris, the mentality coach. Chris had a lot of red flags. I would venture to say this is the reddest flag I've seen on a bio.
I guess I just wonder if he's doing it sort of intentionally, like as a joke.
Like, or just trying to like signal to Bachelor Nation he knows what he's getting himself into and he's ready to go.
Or just that he knows that it's a Bachelor Nation thing. Because, like, it's like, what does this actually accomplish by saying that?
That's true.
You know, it's not like it gets him into Stagecoach. Okay, it's possible that I think Hayden is really cute, and I will just, like, argue that that's not a red flag. But I will say this was like the funniest point for Jesse Palmer in the TikTok Live, is that when he read that bullet point, he just got very sassy and was like, oh, he loves Stagecoach. How interesting, because no former Bachelorette has ever gone to Stagecoach. And whoever was off screen was like laughing really loud. I was proud of him.
This episode is brought to you by eBay Authenticity Guarantee. eBay knows that when it comes to jewelry, authenticity is the real gem. When you see the blue check mark that says Authenticity Guarantee, it means your next piece will be carefully inspired by jewelry experts and will always be worth its weight in gold. Whether you're looking to make a statement or build the perfect everyday look, eBay is making sure you get the real deal. With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, you can trust that jaw-dropping piece will always arrive jaw-droppingly real. Ensure your next purchase is the real deal. Visit ebay.com for terms. This episode is brought to you by Visible. Maybe you've already let your New Year's resolution slip. We all have, but you can still make a 2 year's resolution with Visible. Right now, you can get a one-line wireless plan from Visible for just $20 per month for 24 months. 24 months is basically 4 Bachelor seasons. That could be 4 engagements, 4 broken engagements, so many other couples we didn't see coming. It's really an eternity in Bachelor Nation. And that's unlimited 5G data powered by Verizon with no annual contracts. Switch now at Visible.com and use the code VISIBLE24. Don't miss out. Offer ends January 31st. New members only. Promotional rate with service on the Visible plan. For additional terms and network management practices, see Visible.com.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You might say all kinds of stuff when things go wrong, but these are the words you really need to remember. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. They've got options to fit your unique insurance needs, meaning you can talk to your agent to choose the coverage you need, have coverage options to protect the things you value most, file a claim right on the State Farm mobile app, and even reach a real person when you need to talk to someone. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
I just love Jesse Palmer. I'm like very happy in the Jesse Palmer era. The thing I'm most excited about with this coming season is honestly having Jesse back. Like I've kind of missed him the last few months, and I hope he's been doing great.
Yeah, I kind of took a season off from Clayton's season because I just have been on this Bachelor grind for so long, and I wasn't covering it that season. And so I kind of missed the Jesse Palmer, but I did watch the final episodes when I heard about all the Icelandic group breakups, and I wanted to get in on that. And I thought that he's good. I mean, he's good at hosting. My favorite thing about him in that TikTok live, and I think that this is evident elsewhere in the show, is that he doesn't have this need to like have any sort of ownership over the show or any sort of like connection to it. In fact, in the TikTok, he seemed to kind of like want to distance himself from what happened in Clayton's season. Like he kept calling it like that big mess and like with everything that happened, which I just like couldn't see Chris Harrison ever doing because he was like so deeply intertwined with like the mythology of it all.
Also, he wanted to be known as the person in charge. Like he would point out that he gets a producer credit. Like he very much wanted. I think
Jesse Palmer is like, credit. Please don't forget that I'm still like a football guy. Like,
I think Jesse's like, I'm a hired hand. He also, I think, having been on the show, kind of that gives him distance too, because any mistakes that he made, like calling somebody the wrong name or whatever, he's just like, whatever. I'm just a guy looking for a wife. I think he's playing it right, but also like. Yeah. To your point about wanting to be associated with football, he's also keeping his options open. But there's so much Bachelor coming up. I'm so excited to find out Jesse Palmer's schedule, which I know is an insane thing to say. But Jesse Palmer cannot cover college football while also doing The Bachelor. Like there's no way. College football happens in the fall. So
and that is a very real Ringer problem as well. Yeah. Maybe a couple of our folks could
Roger Sherman about that.
Yeah, ask Roger.
So I'm eager to find out what happens. Also, here's my official prediction, everybody. We got Bachelor from July 11th to like, late September, straight into Paradise, straight into Old Bachelor, straight into Bachelor. I think that we're about to start a wild ride of July through the mid-March. So
they gave us our little break and they said no more.
I've been savoring it. So I hope you are too. Let's move on. Jacob, 27, mortgage broker, very practical. It's a real job from Scottsdale, Arizona, a real place people move to. I hate Jacob because he doesn't eat cake. I can't relate. I just find that offensive to my constitution. I love cake.
Cake is not my favorite dessert. I eat it if offered, but like it's not what I'm going to choose generally over like a brownie per se. So I'll appreciate that he did not. I know. Oh, but brownies are so good. It is kind of wild. I don't love pie either. So I do relate to Jacob.
Wow. Okay.
But it's kind of funny that you were like, that's a real job. He lives in a real place, but he sort of doesn't look like a real person. Like he looks like he has like a surfing Instagram.
Or Teen Wolf.
Do you think that because of his flesh colored beard?
I think it's that.
He's very blonde.
I could see him being related to Team Jacob in Twilight or something. Like he's one of the wolves in the forest that I saw in commercials for Twilight back in the day. I didn't see any of those movies, but I just think there's something weird about him. I also think that his bio is like pretty alarming as well. Jacob's ideal wife will turn heads with her looks wherever she goes and have beauty on the inside that matches. For Jacob, keeping his routine in check, his fitness routine in check is high on the priority list. So his ideal partner should want to maintain a healthy lifestyle and be able to have fun working up a sweat both in and out of the gym. I just hate this coded language.
Turns out I did not read his bio because I don't like any of that.
I know. I just think it's coded language, obviously, for I need a hot wife. And
it's very true to like actual app online dating.
Yes,
a lot of coded let's stay fit together. But what I really mean is be thin, and it doesn't matter if you're fit, it just matters that you're thin.
And I actually I think the part wanting his ideal partner to turn looks wherever or turn heads wherever she goes. That's actually fine. Okay, you want maybe because that could be interpreted in a lot of ways. Maybe it's someone, and there's a lot of different ways in which people a stranger in public catch the attention, right? So okay, I could live with that. But the rest of it is so offensive. And I feel like The Bachelor, these bios these men specifically equate fitness with some kind of virtue. And it's just it's not.
Yeah. Okay. I no longer agree with him for not liking eating cake. It's probably for a bad reason, and mine's for a good reason. It's just not my favorite thing. Catch me eating a brownie.
James is 25. He's a meatball enthusiast. He's from
How dare
Winnetka,
they.
Illinois, which is the setting for one of my favorite childhood television shows, Sisters on NBC, starring Steele Award and Swoozie Kurtz, and Paul Rudd and Ashley Judd. And
Wow.
yeah, it was a really important show to me as a kid. It was a straight up like weekend soap on NBC, and I loved it. James is a huge LeBron James fan, which makes him 25. Fine, and he loves meatballs. That's like his that's his synecdoche or his metonym for I am Italian. So great.
It is the main thing about him, other than being from Winnetka, which is super in the zeitgeist right now. Because weren't we also just talking about Winnetka as a rumored Housewives location for a new franchise? I think that rumor has been debunked, but it's like one of the wealthiest areas in the United States. And I believe it is where the Home Alone house is.
I think yes, it is. That is where the Home Alone house is. Also, the high school that Mean Girls is based on, New Trier High School, that's Winnetka kids go there, but they go to public school. So it's, I went to Northwestern, which is right next to it. I'm sorry, I mention that so often, but Evanston is right next to Winnetka.
Well, there's so many Chicago guys. I mean, like, it comes up a lot. But that's what happens when they only give us meatballs as a personality trait. We just kind of talk about Winnetka a lot.
I also love meatballs, so I prefer that as a personality trait to the gym, to camping, to like almost everything else we've got. So I am in on James, I guess.
I would love that as like a new trend on dating. Instead of everyone talking about fucking hiking, everyone could just be like, meet me for a meatball.
I completely agree. All right, next, another very handsome man. What did Jesse think about Jason, 30, investment bank from Santa Monica?
I'm trying to remember. He is another one that he called like soft-spoken and sensitive. Okay, wait, this is the funny. This made me laugh. He said, I think Jesse's from New Orleans and maybe from Memphis as well. I was like, how is he from both of those like very southern places? But I guess I also am from a bunch of southern places. So he just had Jesse confused. Here's what I'll say about Jason. I don't have it pulled up right now, but if you look at his Instagram, this is not his best photo. He's very cute. And it's not like he looks bad here. I just don't think this is as handsome as he is.
He looks like hot Michael Bublé with a dash of Brian Greenberg here. He
does look like Michael Bublé in this picture. with a dash of who, did you say?
Brian Greenberg, Jake from One Tree Hill.
Yes. Oh my gosh, Juliet, you are nailing it. That is exactly who it looks like. Wow. Yeah.
I'm very into Jason. Previously, I've talked about this. He's an investment banker in Santa Monica. I think that I used to think that was a tough job because you would have to wake up really early for the markets and for calls with Asia and the UK. However, as the tech boom has taken off, there's a lot of work in California for investment bankers. So I'm changing my take on that, and I'm okay with it. It also signals to me that Jason is probably the richest person on this cast, or at least in most independent wealth, which is, I would consider a plus. It just means your life will be probably a little bit easier. So that's great. And he says he loves love, AKA I'm in love with Jason.
I would love nothing more than to connect you with Jason, Juliet. It sounds like you have such thoughtful things to say about his job that would have simply never crossed my mind when I read Jason, 30, investment banker.
Well,
Santa Monica.
I also really like that he loves to tour historical homes. That's a great fun fact. Like that's
that's like, great for if he is from both New Orleans and Memphis.
It's true. Also, Santa Monica has some cool historical homes.
Okay, do you think he ended his own bio with all caps, good vibes only? Or did they there's such weird narrative meddling in these.
I'm concerned that he did. I'm concerned that he did because he says he loves to surf. And I feel like that's kind of goes hand in hand.
Good vibes only. It almost seems like doing it in all caps kind of negates the point.
It's seriously. All right. Joey, our first twin. He's 24. They're 24 from Brookfield, Connecticut. Joey feels like a cartoon character to me. It's just hard to believe this is a real person. I'm like, did they hire twins to play idiot twins? Because this is just a ridiculous bio. He loves to go out in New York City in the club. It's sort of like a night at the Roxbury personified.
Okay, well, per Jesse, Joey is like the mature twin who has been ready to settle down. And I guess we could go ahead and get to Justin Y, his brother, who is literally labeled the other twin, which is so rude.
So rude.
And it immediately makes me like Justin more because it just like poses him as an underdog.
You mean the other twin?
The other twin, yes.
Got
because
it.
they called him the other twin.
The other
I
twin.
just like him more. I'm like, that's mean. Now Justin Y has my support.
All right. Well, that's great. You're in his corner. I literally have nothing else to say about the twins. I know they're not going to go far. I'm positive.
Okay. But do consider that there is precedence for identical twins on Ben's season. And one of them, and they were also very young and also pretty silly. And one of them made it to like 6th place.
Yeah, Haley and Emily. Yeah, they went far. It was wild. I think he
one
sent
of them went
home,
far, but one of them didn't go very far.
But one of them, I think it was Haley, went home after they went to Vegas, and he went to their home and he sent her. They were like, because they were from Vegas, and he was like, "Nah, this is not for me."
But still, can you imagine seeing twin or other twin in 6th place? Of course, 6th place on this season could be both 6th and 12th place. So
exactly,
who really knows?
Who knows? Let's move on to John. He's 26. He's an English teacher from Nashville. Jody, you live in the South.
I do.
Would you consider dating someone who moves to Nashville?
I mean, if they were like a cute English teacher, I don't think I'd say no just because they moved to Nashville.
Okay.
But it is a very... Okay.
But
What's up? What's up?
John doesn't want to be an English teacher. It's his job. He would love to be the face of a big clothing brand. Like, he moved to Nashville for fame. And like, I respect that he has a job while pursuing that fame. But like, I don't think that John's like a lifelong educator, which is fine. Like, a lot of people are teachers and they move on to something else. But I'm just worried he's not giving the students the attention they deserve because he wants to be the face of a clothing brand.
Pretty big reach, Juliet. On his Instagram, I believe he labeled like where you can choose what you are as a model. And I do find that odd for Nashville. It's like, I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of modeling opportunities there. And maybe it's like small fish in a weird big country pond, but or the other way around, bigger fish in a small pond. But yeah, that's an interesting move. Of course, I don't know where he's originally from.
Right. I just think Nashville is a red flag, especially on this show. Nashville is like, oh, it's not going great for me here. I'm going to turbocharge my pursuit of fame. I'm going on The Bachelorette. We saw it with Jed. Maybe I have some bias, but
it is also a hub, though. Like, they look for people in Nashville. My friend who lives in Nashville just got like contacted by a Netflix producer to go on Love Is Blind. Like, it's definitely a, kind of cyclical situation.
Nashville, Love Is Blind. Yeah, but Nashville being the next city for Love Is Blind. That's awesome. I love it.
Oh, now you love Nashville.
Well, I love it for Love Is Blind. Also, Nashville inbreeding, I can get behind. Sure, no problem.
Yeah, there should for some reason like the reality shows in Nashville have never taken off, but it's there's something going on there.
I know. Why haven't they taken off? It does seem like it would be so perfect.
As a city, I don't know why. It's hard to do music. Like, it's hard to capture music which is usually what it's focused around, but maybe a dating show in Nashville is the way to go.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, we'll see. Shall we move on?
We shall.
Next, we got Johnny, not John,
Moving
but Johnny.
On to Johnny.
The realtor from Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. You seem very excited about him.
Well, Jesse Palmer also had a lot to say about Johnny. I think he was another one of his quiet confidence guys. That's like such a loaded statement that means nothing. It's like when you call someone genuine, it's like, okay. It doesn't, but I will say that very much goes along with this photo. He is just, I know these are like fighting words, but the grand culmination of what I've heard about him and what I've seen are giving Tyler C vibes. He's from Florida, and I feel like he has that like weird Florida accent that somehow sounds like a New York accent. Like he looks like kind of a sultry person, which is sort of unusual for these guys that usually play The Bachelorette.
Comparing someone to Tyler C is a huge, huge, huge thing to say. So I take it with a grain of salt because it's just such an absurd thing to proffer. However, I will say Tyler C's total package, unbelievable appeal did not come through whatsoever in his bio.
I'm saying first impressions of Tyler C are similar to first impressions of Johnny, because I remember that Tyler C also seemed very like sultry and just a little different.
Johnny and
Jesse. Yes. Jesse has this to say: he stares at a woman and a woman melts. Can't fight that.
Oh my God. He is a forward thinker and says he can't be with anyone who is hung up on the past. I will just say the idiom forward thinker is not what he thinks it means. So just FYI, Johnny.
No, but sometimes those ideas could go hand in hand. If you are sort of future focused, then you could also be open-minded.
Next, Jordan H. Jordan H seems like straight down the middle for Gabby. I just like, based on his picture, he's from Tampa, she's also from Florida, software developer, good job, okay. He's an adrenaline junkie who falls hard and fast. I feel like so is Rachel. Like, I just feel like he seems like he's got a lot of potential for her, in my opinion. He says his perfect match is mature, independent, exciting, and ready to have a big family because he wants a ton of kids. I vaguely recall Rachel saying something similar eventually as well.
So could Jordan H be the one who tears these two apart?
I don't know.
Because are you matching him up with both of them? Did you say Gabby too?
No, I think Rachel.
Oh, you think all Rachel? Yeah.
I think this is all Rachel.
As Jesse might say, it's very all-American. Got a hell of a jaw on him. I could see. Because he's Clayton-esque.
He's Clayton-esque.
And Rachel genuinely liked Clayton.
I know, their chemistry is ridiculous. So I think he's going far on the Rachel camp.
I will say that Jesse Palmer did not have a lot to say about him, but could have been a trick.
Okay.
Also, he could have been tired and like needed a banana at this point.
That's a great point. He needs some sugar. How are you doing? Do you need some sugar? I mean, we're about halfway through.
I'm doing great. All this recent talk of like Mormon mom TikTok and also just some other TikToks recently has really had me on like a soda mind. So I'm currently sipping a Diet Dr. Pepper that's really, really
keeping you going. Okay.
I don't want to give the impression that I'm a Diet Coke girl or a Diet Dr. Pepper girl, but I am currently having one.
Okay, great. I'm a Coke Zero girl and I'm proud. Jordan B, this is one of the also like top so many nouns and so little information about Jordan B. Like, here are some of the nouns that we got. Like nephews, the lake, James Bond, hustle and bustle of city life. Those aren't necessarily nouns. Family, sweet tea, handwritten letters,
funny
Justin
way
Bieber.
To quantify it. It's just like full of nouns, which is so funny because when I first opened up Jordan's profile when these dropped on Tuesday, before I even hit the word cloud of nouns, I went on a complete roller coaster where like my eyes locked on him and I was like, is he a redhead? Because I'm a redhead. And they never have redheads on this show. Definitely not men. And I was like, he's a redhead. He looks like a ginger. And then I opened up his Instagram and he is like maybe a daywalker, but almost definitely not a redhead. Then I like scroll my eyes down to his job and I just see drag. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a drag queen, which would be incredible. But no, he's a drag racer. So is cool.
Professional race car driver. While we are really into Drive to Survive, he doesn't have that je ne sais quoi of a European short guy in a car. So
no, my guy's from Alpharetta, Georgia. So no, he's not French.
I have no interest in Jordan B. There's none.
I once did for a mere few moments and it quickly evaporated. I mean, he's cute, but yeah.
On the other hand, Justin B, 32, physical therapist from Solana Beach, California. He's pretty cute. I'm into Justin B. He loves the smell of jasmine. He does want to live van life, which I don't care for, but whatever. That's fine. This
It's
is one of the
interest.
cuter
You have
guys.
it or you don't.
Yeah, exactly. Some people do want that, and that's fine. Apparently he's optimistic. Again, there's like very little actual information about him here, but I just think he's handsome. Great, strong beard. Not enough beards on this show.
Yeah, he looks like a man. Like he looks
an adult.
grown. He doesn't look like as huge as like a lot of these guys, but he just looks
Who cares?
grown. Of course, I also thought that about Brandon, who's 23, so I'm not to be trusted, but he is very handsome.
The other Justin, and also the other twin, Justin Y, also 24, also from Brookfield, Connecticut. His bio ends with Gabby and Rachel. Hope you're in it to twin it, which I also feel like the Justin and his brother John probably came up with it together.
Which I think those original twins from Ben's season were also saying. So, or that might have been during the time of twinning.
This is a really upsetting fact from his bio. If Justin Y could live in any other decade, he would choose the early 90s. So the fact that, first of all, he was, I assume, born in 1998 if he's 24. So he did have some 90s exposure, very little.
Late
but this just really hammered home how young they are. And I was like, wow, putting it that way, really weird.
Yeah. I mean, the early 90s is 30 years ago, which is much older than him.
Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Best of luck in your time travels, Justin Y.
Yeah, see you there. Kirk, 29, college football coach from Lubbock, Texas. He is serving Friday Night Lights vibes hardcore.
He is. And like, I don't think that I know him, but I'm from Waco, Texas. He looks so he just has like such a familiar Texas energy to me, especially like Eastern Texas. He's a coach at Texas Tech. I think he used to be a coach at Baylor, which is in Waco. So he just I feel very like he feels very familiar to me.
Yeah.
And yes, very Friday Night Lights.
He has a familiar look. So I understand that. I do think dating a coach is hard. So I like that he's upfront about that. He works 7 days a week. So wants
very upfront about it.
He wants a partner that understands how demanding his work schedule is and happily hold down the fort while he's away. I mean, that is a reality of dating someone in professional sports. So I think it's good to be upfront about it.
Anything from the Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, it's that coaches are never home and that people can really get up to no good when they are not home. So choose your coach carefully, and the coach better choose their wife carefully too.
Coach Shaw or Coach Kirk, you choose. Kirk never wears white while eating spaghetti. Very prudent. Who could argue with that?
Who could be that much of a forward thinker? I guess Kirk.
Oh my God. Let's keep going. We're moving on to the lone L of the group. Logan, 26, videographer from San Diego, Whale's vagina. His lifelong crush is Elaine from Seinfeld. That's amazing.
Yeah, that's like really, I read that fact and I was like, okay, I like you. We're on good terms. And he's only 26, which
I know.
Seinfeld's like kind of an older reference. But I mean, obviously people watch all
I guess he has Hulu
now, but,
and then Netflix, yeah. And also syndication. Also, his ideal woman is artsy, low maintenance, and down to cuddle by a bonfire under the stars. That's like a pretty unique sentence that we don't often get. So at least in this context. So I like it. Logan, I see you, man. That's great.
Is artsy coded in a way that I don't understand because it doesn't make me mad like fit does?
I know. Yeah, like what does that mean to him? I would love to be like, what does artsy actually mean to you? But it's like, that's such a great point. I feel like
when we conduct our interviews via ABC, maybe we can ask.
I like projecting Shane West and a Walk to Remember onto Logan.
Interesting, because they do not look alike.
I know, but I think it's like the artsy piece of it where it's like the school play and like, I don't know.
And like cuddling under the stars. Like you want him to put a temporary butterfly tattoo on you on the beach.
No, I don't want that. But, I'm just saying that's what I'm getting from this guy.
Okay. Very specific, much like his sentence.
Yeah. Next, Mario, 31, personal trainer from Naperville, Illinois. I like that they went back to Chicago as a recruiting ground. That was like essential to some of the real best seasons. I'm happy about this. It's great. Naperville is a south suburb of Chicago. Have I mentioned I went to college in Chicago? Just kidding.
You did? Juliet, no way. Do you know any of these guys?
right outside of Chicago, I should say. He's a personal trainer. Thank you for just saying I'm a personal trainer and not a mentality coach. Great. I accept it. He's looking to start a family, future basketball players. Too bad Callie is already married. Otherwise, perhaps she could meet him. And she's also quite tall. And he's a Tetris superstar. I like it. A throwback game. He loves tulips. It's a great flower. Who can argue with that? And he likes to end his day by listening to 90s R&B. I mean, Mario sounds great. I've got no objections.
Mario said a thing that you recently said, which is for Mario, fitness is a way of life. And even if he wasn't getting paid, he'd still be out there working hard for his clients. Y'all don't need to offer up that information. Get paid. ABC needs to pay you. His clients need to pay him. Mario is very cute. He has like a wonderful smile and another one of these good jackets they're all wearing.
Yeah. And I just want to know, I feel like I'm often like anti-fitness on this show because I was like appalled by Matt James's commitment to exercise. I'm actually not anti-fitness. I like this Mario a lot. I like how he presents it, but he's like, this is what I'm about. Don't pretend it's like I'm a mentality coach and like see you at the gym. It's like, okay, cool. But Mario, you seem great.
I like him. I hope he goes far.
Matt, 25, shipping executive from San Diego, California. When I say shipping executive, I think of like Aristotle Onassis and like other scions of industry. What do you think of?
UPS. That was my immediate thought was like, oh, which is fine. I mean, those are great jobs. Like that's good. It's just like where my mind went, like a shipping executive, or maybe he works for like corporate FedEx. Like, isn't that what a shipping executive would be? Well, but then his bio definitely makes it sound much more like magnate-esque.
Yeah. It says that he started his own business, or he's successfully a man who runs his own business. But now that Matt has built his empire, he's ready to find a woman to share it with. I mean, there's not a lot of room in like the ground shipping world. UPS and FedEx and DHL like really have it on lock. So like, I would like to know about like what is this shipping alternative that he's come up with? Can we find out?
I'm like, it's such a bad idea to be like, tell me more about your job to one of these people, but like, I really want to know what he's talking about because it sounds like it's been so successful. I said in my article that he was one of the ones I featured that like he seems like one of those guys who makes like a what I did in a day TikTok, and it's like. It's all like eating extravagant meals and like making smoothies and working out. And then it's like 2 hours of work. And you're like, what are you doing? What is the work? And how do you make so much money? He's 25 too. I mean, I'm just going by what his bio says, but sounds like it's gone well. Okay, but wait, we have to, the shipping executive is so distracting. We have to get to the most confounding sentence, which is under his fun facts. It says, Matt would rather vibe than dance to good music.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
I think he's setting expectations that like if he's your wedding date, he will not be dancing. He's like, I will sway in the background. I'll clap for the couple, but I just think he's like, I'm not a dance floor guy.
It's just funny to say good music. Shouldn't you just say, because then surely that would also include bad music.
It's true. But I just think he's like,
a vibes guy.
Yeah.
He's a vibes guy.
Next, Michael, 32, pharmaceutical salesman from Long Beach, California. His bio is completely irrelevant, but he has one really confounding fun fact. Michael says that parents love him. Sorry, I first read that as Michael says that his parents love him, and I was like, wait, what? Okay. Michael says that parents love him. And I was like, I take it back, not the confounding. I'm like, okay, cool.
But that's so funny. I read it that way too. Like the first time I read it, and I was like, oh gosh, did they say it? But then it just says, Michael says that parents love him. Why is that wording so weird?
I don't know.
I could see parents loving him. He seems very wholesome and cute.
Yeah.
A lot of chains over sweaters this season.
Yeah, I know. Michael loves Harry Potter and wants to visit his Wizarding World. It's giving Harry Potter a lot of agency, but moreover, how about just dream bigger? That's a really attainable goal, man. You live in Long Beach. Universal Studios has a Wizarding World not very far away.
It's good to have attainable goals. You got to have short-term goals and long-term goals, and you don't always have to tell the Bachelor bio questionnaire your long-term goals.
That's true. Let's move on to Nate, one of my other favorites. He's 33, electrical engineer from Chicago, very handsome, just very, very handsome. Also has a chain outside of his shirt. What did Jesse say about him? Because his bio is effusive.
I can't wait to tell you what Jesse said about him. Maybe I'm overplaying it, but he talked about it for a long time. He said that the first time he saw Nate, he was wearing pearls. And Jesse was like, "You're wearing pearls." And he was like, "Yeah, man, I love to wear pearls." So it's just like, I can't wait to see a guy on The Bachelorette wearing pearls. And he's so handsome and like clearly so cool and fashionable. It's just, that's so unusual. Who was on, there was someone on a recent past season that was like very fashion. Olu was quite fashionable.
Olu, yeah.
And that's just like a fun twist.
Nate's fun facts are unassailable. His favorite movie is How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days. It's not my favorite movie, not even close to my favorite rom-com. But like, okay, I can respect it. Highly rewatchable, fine. Nate enjoys an occasional gas station icy. I love that. I love an occasional slushy myself from a 7-Up. And he doesn't do mosh pits. Great life lesson. Don't do a mosh pit. Like, show me what's wrong with Nate. I mean, this man is so hot.
I can't find anything. You can't find anything. Jesse can't find anything. I will be heartbroken if something goes wrong. He's also 33 and an electrical engineer.
Great.
These are good facts for me, seriously. Personally.
Me too. I hope that Gabby is interested in him. I feel like that could be good for her too.
I think she's cool too. Like, I think that could be good.
Another alarming just job, but I guess perhaps more honest and more familiar. Quincy, 25, life coach from Miami. I don't know. I just can't get down with these life coaches. But even worse, Quincy loves high vibration music. Ooh. What is that, Jody?
I do not know.
Is that like
I would
deep
think
bass?
It would be like what are those kinds of beats called?
House beats?
No, it's like binaural beats. I once wrote a story about astral projection for theringer.com. Look it up. And I had to listen to a lot of binaural beats. Because of that great
show, Behind Her Eyes. Yes.
Because of Behind Her Eyes. Quincy is so cute. I mean, he just has like a wonderful face and smile that it really threw me off. I guess it shouldn't throw me off that he's a life coach because he looks like he's just 25, seems young to be coaching other people's lives.
I know. Like, what do you have to offer, man? How much life experience do you have? You're watching Space Jam on repeat. I mean, I've got questions.
Yeah, weird movie to choose to be able, like a weird rewatchable. But Jesse did say that he's very bright and inquisitive and very locked in when he talks to you. So maybe he's just a natural.
Yeah, I mean, who are we to judge? But
I could see him with Rachel if he's like very endearing and, you know, they're around the same age. He's also very all-American, which is for some reason is something I've assigned to her because of Jesse. I don't know
why. Robbie is an impressive and accomplished musician. He's 33. He's from LA.
No. He's not a musician, Juliet.
Sorry, he's a magician.
You do not want to make that mistake.
No, my bad. Everything about him is intriguing except the fact that he's a magician. He's a man who can tell you anything in French because he's lived all over the world. He is smart, well-read, and an expert conversationalist. He is an advanced scuba diver. He did all of his schooling in French, and he wants to live in a home with secret rooms and hidden tunnels in it. I mean, I guess he's into sex dungeons. That's what we have to assume here. But like, there's a lot that's appealing here that I would like to know more about.
Juliet, do you know the main thing about him?
He's a magician?
He is Lily Sobieski's brother.
Oh my God, they look alike. I see it.
Which I think makes like all of those weird and interesting facts really wrap up into a circle.
Oh my God, that's great.
Like very artistic family. And I really focused on that in my article, which then I felt kind of bad about because he is so many other things, but also he's Lily Sobieski's brother. And there's no getting past it. And if you Google him, you'll see them together like as youngsters. I don't love this haircut on him because I've now seen him in a shorter haircut that I like a lot more.
Yeah.
It's giving like third property brother.
Definitely. I'm excited to meet him. Let's move on to Ryan, 36, fully grown, investment director from Boston, Massachusetts. He looks like an investment director from Boston, Massachusetts. Like, I am not surprised.
He looks like Jesse Palmer from Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes, he does. Not as cute, though. He wants a Nicholas Sparks type of relationship and is willing to put in the work to bring his love story to life. Will this journey be a walk to remember? I mean, that's 2 references of that movie now.
Such romantics.
This is controversial. Ryan is a proud Botox enthusiast. It's only controversial because I think people often don't talk about this, but I like that he's putting it out there.
I love it. Yeah, it's like, and I don't necessarily think enthusiast means you do it all the time. It means that it's like something that you do and that you're like proud of is kind of the way that I took it. Cause like he looks great. Like, you know, like it doesn't look like he's overdoing it. I will say that Jesse had some kind of like coded things to say. He was like, yeah, self-care, which is fine now. It was very like, yeah, men can take care of themselves now. Like, Jesse, you know you're getting Botox.
I'm about to say Jesse definitely gets it, and that's fine.
Definitely.
It just nothing to be ashamed
felt like
of.
He had a little self-conflict in himself. Like, maybe I should be an enthusiast.
Right.
But I don't know.
I like it. This is a deal breaker for me.
By that point, I needed a banana and was a little like maybe reading into some things Jesse was saying.
This next fun fact, he wants to open his own dog rescue and shelter someday. That's a deal breaker for me. I just don't like dogs.
You don't like dogs at all?
I'm not a pet person. Like, no pets for me.
Well, these wouldn't be pets. This would be a business that rescues animals and not pets.
I support that existing, but it's just not something that I could like share a passion for
sure.
or care about. So it's just,
very
I respect
specific.
it. Yeah. No thanks. He loves pineapple. That's great. So do I. Love pineapple.
Wow,
who doesn't?
Really going back and forth on Ryan, Juliet.
I think because he's the oldest, I like have to like really evaluate him. I can't just write him off. But that is like so ridiculous. Age is but a number. Next, Spencer. Looks like his photo was edited weirdly. He's 27. He's got a really thick neck, and he's a venture capitalist from Chicago, Illinois.
For the record, that is not written in his bio. That was an additional comment by Juliet.
Thank you for clarifying.
Listed as his job, like other twin.
Oh my God. Thick neck guy. I don't know. Spencer, I'm a little worried. He thinks EDM is ridiculous. I agree. He gets a lot of compliments on his eyebrows. I mean, does that self-care? We support it for men. That's great. Nothing makes him happier than seeing the Detroit Lions win. I just like don't. This is all very generic stuff to me.
Jesse also had a very sassy comment about that, which was like, he was like, nothing makes Spencer happier than seeing the Detroit Lions win. So Spencer must be miserable.
I love Jesse. That's great.
It was good. It was a lot of time spent, but he had some good moments.
Great stuff. Next, Termaine, 28, also from Naperville, crypto guy. Jody, how do you feel about a crypto guy?
Not great, Juliet. It's just like so typical.
Yeah.
And at least he's out there with it.
Yeah. The final line of his bio is the second woman says NFT, it's game over. So this is rough. This is really rough. I don't care for Termaine, but I would like to introduce him to Matt James, who also loves NFTs.
So I thought that he was like, oh, it's game over, like in a good way. I was like, oh, he's into crypto, but not NFTs. Interesting distinction. But wow. I somehow feel like neither Rachel nor Gabby are going to manage to mention NFTs to him in their first date. But I guarantee you, Termaine's going to find a way to mention it.
I could see. The funny thing about The Bachelor is like, I don't know how you could do this because it's like a IRL experience, but like I just like he'll work NFTs into his intro somehow.
I do remember Jesse like saying something along the lines of like, Termaine loves crypto and he will tell you about it, which just,
oh my God. Great.
Yeah, you can't love crypto without talking about it, which is kind of the funny thing about it.
Next, Tino, 27, general contractor from Playa del Rey, incredibly hot. Also not in his bio, but need you to know.
That is his job. An incredibly hot general contractor. He is hot and cute. A hard balance to pull off.
Yes, Tino is very, very attractive. Tino enjoys reading the Wall Street Journal, which tells me that he pays for the Wall Street Journal. They have a really aggressive paywall. So that's interesting. Good to know. Also, like one of the only people to mention reading in this whole cast. So that's fantastic news for you and I who traffic in words.
Right.
Tino says 90% of what he eats is meat.
A less lovable fact.
It's kind of gross. That's just like a lot. Yeah, does he know what 90% really is? Like that's like how's that even possible? Does he like what does he have for breakfast? It's gotta be an
exaggeration.
Bacon? Yeah. He's a classic California guy. If he's not surfing, he's cycling, camping, or loving on his family dog. Like that's just like such California stuff. I'm just like, okay, cool. But he's really hot. So yes, cool.
I mean, you could be worse things than like a hot, laid back surfer guy.
Totally.
You're correct. Seems like a good match for either, really.
Yeah, he's really handsome. He'll go at least 1 week. Next, Tyler, 25, small business owner from Wildwood, New Jersey. He is described as an Italian stallion, and I will tell you, this is not the first time someone has written that in the Bachelor bio. I don't remember what else, but I know I've seen it before. Very, very little information about Tyler in his bio, like essentially none.
Okay, well, there was some really hilarious information in the TikTok, which was listening to Jesse Palmer try to explain Tyler's small business, which is apparently some sort of basketball game on the boardwalk on the Jersey Shore. Is like his small business.
Pop-A-Shot? It's probably Pop-A-Shot.
But Jesse made it sound like it was his own game that he invented. And he said he probably has more money than any of us. He he was really talking up Tyler's entrepreneurial spirit, but I just could have never guessed in a million years that that's what his small business would be.
Oh my God. Interesting.
And once again, I want to hear more about it.
Me too. All right. Well, hopefully we'll get to find out more. He has some attainable dreams, visiting every park in Major League Baseball. That can happen. Sure. You got it, Tyler.
Could take some time.
That's like a thing though. I don't know if you're aware of that, but like, it's like a thing that like people are interested in, like in baseball culture. It's like, gotta go to every park. And like people do like road trips and whatever. It's like, it's a thing.
Yeah. Except that Tyler is not a good multitasker is also in his list. So it might be hard for him to get all the itineraries together.
More than one per year could be tough. All right. Last, the big Z, Zach, 25, tech executive from Anaheim Hills, California. You know, I need a banana because I can no longer speak. I'm very sorry. This probably means, let's think about a company that's in Anaheim. I can't think off the top of my head, but I'm sure he just like has a mid-level job at a tech company, which is really cool. I just doubt that he's like actually an executive, like, which is again, fine.
It's so weird that he lives in Anaheim because the beginning of his bio like reads like a country song. It's like he loves his mama, his dogs, and football.
Well, maybe he moved. Maybe he's like originally from Texas or something.
True.
He'd love to be Spider-Man for a day. He doesn't like breakfast, and he loves beach volleyball.
He doesn't just say he doesn't like breakfast. He says he doesn't like breakfast. Eggs don't agree with him, which is like pretty open for the old Bachelor bio.
Yeah, like although there used to be a phase where like people would be like, "What's your biggest date fear?" And it'd be like having diarrhea on a date. And it's like I feel like that's like basically what Zach was saying. Like, don't feed me this.
Juliet, I mentioned that in the article that like gone are the days of like them asking or like if they ask what the worst date fear is, it's always diarrhea. And like they don't ask that anymore clearly, but Zach still found a way to fit it in. I'm very interested to meet him. Like his bio is like very peppy, very energetic. It has a lot of exclamation points. So he seems kind of like a puppy dog.
Jody, we did it. All the dudes. Can you believe it?
I mean, I guess we should say that, like, if there were enough guys, we would not have survived this. So thank goodness there were only 32. But There still need to be more boyfriends. It's not enough.
There still need to be more. We're just about a month out. We're recording this on June 9th. So we're a month and 2 days out. I honestly am feeling hyped. I also am feeling restored. We needed this break, but like, let's go, people. Gabby and Rachel, see you soon. For more of Jodi, please listen to the Ringer Reality TV podcast. She is a core part of our new Morally Corrupt show, which covers all things Bravo on Fridays. You can hear her on Ringer Dish as well. Certainly read her on theringer.com. And I'll be back with more Batch next week. Thank you so much, Erica Cervantes, for producing this episode.